The views and opinions expressed by guests on this podcast are solely their own and do not represent the position of the host, this show, or any organization either party is affiliated with. All content is shared purely for educational and inspirational purposes. Nothing discussed here constitutes professional advice. Listeners are encouraged to independently verify any information before acting on it. The host is not responsible for any outcomes resulting from guest statements. By listening, you agree that you are solely responsible for how you use the information shared. Welcome to the Tech Sharmit podcast, where technology is not just news, but the roadmap to the future. This is a space where we explore the latest tech trends, AI, startups, gadgets, and the ideas that redefine the way we think. Leading this conversation is Amit Sharma, globally recognized as Tech Sharmit. A technologist from Bharat, Amit brings an Indian perspective to the global technology landscape. With deep technical expertise and strong industry insight, and for his contributions and impact within the global tech community, he has been recognized with several prestigious honors, including Google Developer Expert, Microsoft MVP, IBM Champion, and Planet Mainframe Influencer. Through this podcast, he shares practical knowledge, real-world perspectives, and globally relevant thinking designed to help you stay ahead in an ever-evolving technology landscape. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the Tech Sharmit channel to stay updated with future episodes. And if you're looking to level up your skills, don't forget to explore the Tech Sharmit digital course book in the description box, where you'll find thousands of free programming courses curated to help you grow as a developer. So plug in your headphones and join us as we begin today's episode of the Tech Sharmit podcast.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Tech Sharmit podcast. Today I am joined by another special guest, Abdulrafiu Izuafa, who is joining us from Nigeria. If I talk about Abdul, he is a Microsoft MVP, senior AI ML consultant, and a AI engineer focused on delivering production-ready solution using Azure, Microsoft Fabric, machine learning, and more modern AI architecture. In today's episode, we will talk about AI deployment, Azure AI, Microsoft Fabric, rack system, education technology, and many other things. But before we get started, I would like to thank Abdul Rafiu for joining us today in this episode. And now I request you to please tell us a bit about yourself and initiate this discussion.
Thanks very much, Hamid. Hi everyone, I'm Abdulrafiu Izuafa. I currently work with Onyx as an AI/machine learning consultant, and I'm also a Microsoft MVP. Yeah, I just feel like that should serve, so I won't keep talking.
Yeah. So, okay, thanks for the introduction, Abdul Rafiu. And now, like, we just wanted to know about your journey, your work, your contribution to this AI industry. So, let's start from the production itself because you are completely shipping the production AI on Azure, Microsoft Fabric daily. So, what do you think? Like, what's the gap between what people think about AI deployment looks like versus how it actually works when something breaks down in the 2 a.m. morning? So, how the things got changed?
Um, I feel so basically when people see the demo, right, and then this demo is always beautiful, it has clean notebooks, and then the model nails its first try, everybody's impressed, and I'm always thinking, oh, okay, but that's probably like 10% of the actual job. So I feel the real job is actually where it's actually everything that happens after those uploads. So after you've seen that, oh, it actually does all the good work. And then the
Mm-hmm.
funny thing about the 2 a.m. Aspect you mentioned is that when you're actually up because something broke, it's almost never the model that actually breaks. So probably
Yeah.
the model's just sitting there doing its thing perfectly fine. And then what broke is probably something that's plumbing around it. Probably somebody renamed a column in the system that it's been architected into, or it could just be just anything that anyone changes.
Mm-hmm.
So one customer hits like a customer hits a rate limit, and then it could also be a retry from a field service. So anything can just happen that would break that service at 2 a.m. It could also be a scheduled job that ran, or it could also be something that you just assumed would work during production. So I built a workload on the Microsoft Fabric ecosystem in the currently for Onyx Data where I consult.
Mhm.
And then that workload I built choose a lot of data. So it's there's hundreds of millions of telemetry rows being consumed across various organizations in the Fabric ecosystem. And honestly, the AI part was probably the easy bit of it because I mean it has to do with a RAG architecture, trying to understand the various aspects of their environment and bringing it forth for this AI to tokenize and have a contextual memory to work with. But the hard part of this was a lot of the boring stuff. So, for example, what would you do when the organization fails, but 49 when one organization fails, but 49 others succeed? Because there were lots of variants from the organizations
Yeah,
using FabOps. So you'd see that oh this organization has a lot of workspaces compared to these organizations, and then at some time a lot of the time I had to probably be awake even past 2 a.m. and then trying to debug what's actually going on, why is this working? Because you would I'd obviously have like a sandbox to test with, and then you're like oh I've assumed or I've created an environment in this sandbox that oh it's just two workspaces or 20 workspaces, and then
yeah,
this is how Firefox works in this environment, and then you're wondering what went wrong when it scales up to 200 workspaces and then something is just not right. So I feel like that's where the real work is because you constantly keep on retrying,
correct.
modeling, simulating the various aspects to which it could work perfectly in production. And I also think that's why service reliability engineers also exist to make sure the system is always up and running. So I also feel like this creates an upstream pipeline for you to make sure that everything is always up and running. So whether it's you having to check twice, whether it's you having to page other members of your team to just be awake or observant about the telemetry logs, what's happening and everything. So I feel that that's also a major gap because people think production AI is about the smarter model, but it's really about building what you feel like is going to work when things go wrong, regardless. That's
Yes,
I think fault tolerance, because definitely issues will definitely arise. So you would have to make your system very fault reliant. So whenever issues come across, there are various techniques that you can use to handle them, just to make sure that the SLA, the service agreements, the agreements you're having with your customers is kept. That oh,
mhm,
the downtime is drastically reduced compared to the percentage you're offering that it to be up. So things like this allow you to just assume that sorry, many people often assume that oh, it's the model, but it's not necessarily the model. Rather, it's the system and the various components inside that system that makes up it. Because the model could just be one part of it, and
correct.
then when you actually deploy to production, something will actually break. So, I don't know if you answered the question. Thank
Yes, you answered the question. In fact, you put a light on that very important part that it is not just a model, right? There are so many things that are going behind the scene. In fact, if we talk about the team who is handling these kind of operations, especially in production, so they have to think about the scalability, about the resilience, and everything that needs to be make this model or this entire product perfect, right? Because once you have deployed your AI solution, like it is going to be used by many number of users, right? So it should be on the front foot when providing the solution to the developers or to the actual users. So that's a great answer you just explained, and I'm sure it is clear
you.
to all those who are looking into that question. And
Yeah.
now, Abdul Rafi, moving ahead, we'll talk about something about the Nigeria and the African context, because you have been building AI solution while being rooted in Nigeria. So, what do you think? Like, how does the African context change how you think about AI design? And in other words, you can say like, what are the things that works in Silicon Valley that's simple but doesn't work in the Lagos if we have to compare the things. So, what are the challenges or maybe other opportunity that comes when we are talking about AI in context of Africa?
I feel it's changed a lot of things. In fact,
Okay.
almost everything, because we can actually narrow it down to certain assumptions that most people would never realize it's allowing or it's enabling. Because I often think Silicon Valley built for a world that is already showed up. So
Mhm.
there are lots of assumptions that, oh, there's internet speed, everyone
Yes.
has access to the newest model of iPhone, or everyone speaks English, which is a very big language barrier. So I
Yes.
feel with these assumptions, there's a drift for building for the people that actually need it, with the people who already have the resources to access it. So if I'm to take an example now, there could be an app that probably let's say it's built in Lagos. So we'll
Mm-hmm.
have to take in some considerations like, oh, these users have to buy data or internet to access these apps. And then yeah, every in Lagos or Abuja, yeah, a lot of places where you use these apps, they charge you for internet access where literally almost every megabyte
Mm-hmm.
has to be bought with your money, and you would not want to account for any wastage. And then most of these things come out from the individual pocket, whether it's the student using it or you having to purchase a newer model of phone simply because a model can't run on your hardware. So a lot of all these constraints are what leads to the backward development in Africa, and what just makes people feel like, oh, wherever the Silicon Valley guys are building, we're
Mm-hmm.
just left to consume it. So in the African context, I feel the fact that there are low-end Android from a few years back, there are over 500 languages on this continent alone. I think I
Mm.
really don't know how many Nigerians have, but then there's a lot of barrier. There's a lot of things that just don't just make sense. A few weeks back, I was building a project that had to do with the three major languages in Nigeria, Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba. And then I was just shocked because I tried my best. I kept on doing research, trying to find out models or even contextual data I could work with to train a custom text to speech model that would be used in the application. I could not find anything. So
Yeah.
the limitation to what is available out there is also what is affecting us here in Africa. And me personally, I feel amongst all of them, amongst all of the constraints, language is the biggest of them all. And
Yeah.
if your AI only speaks English, you've probably shut out most of the people who need it the most, because a lot of these people can be market women, people from local towns, local environments who actually need this system, but many of them don't get to be literate like us. Many of them don't
Yes.
get to be educated as us. So, sidelining them because of their language is like you shifting a market that actually needs this service. So, um, and I also feel another aspect to it is the accessibility aspect, majorly for example, I could use a colorist for example. Days
Mm-hmm.
back when models like ChatGPT were generating images, they
Mm-hmm.
could not really identify persons with disabilities. I mean, for example, you tell ChatGPT then to generate an image of someone with Down syndrome, and then it's generating someone with dwarfism. So there's a lot of drift in the model's
Yes.
output simply because of the limited data sets being fed into it. And what has led to this is how they do not even put in the individuals in these various underrepresented countries or continents into the perspective of training this model. So, for example, persons with disabilities, you often find limited data sets for persons with visual or audio or mobility disabilities, because to them, they probably feel it's a lot of work or it simply doesn't
Correct.
matter. So you could see that the assumptions even go deeper outside language, outside hardware constraints, and then the part of it which is honestly very 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 annoying, and which I would say I'm very obsessed with, is that
Mm-hmm.
the whole industry quietly just assumes that this person on the other end, or this set of persons on the other end, can see the screen and get the audio. So
Yeah.
I think that's also the accessibility aspect I mentioned. So I won't just keep on speaking and speaking. I just sat down and worked with an organization called CGID, Center for Journalism and Innovation Development, there in the city of Nigeria,
Mm-hmm.
where we did a research trying to like analyze how AI can come in to help people with disabilities, or rather people with abilities. And then I got to work on a fantastic project called the News Accessibility Platform that probably just profile information in the screens of users and make it accessible by default. So whether it's any news website, any newsrooms, kind of like make it accessible by default. And that also led me to work on a protocol, an open standard that would actually fix the way the agentic era is going. I believe you'll be familiar with how agents are just everywhere. Companies
Yes.
are creating multi-flow agents, agents that are probably almost always completely automated. And then I also realized that from the Microsoft Ability Summit, there are lots of discussions around how there's still a gap in how agentic AI communicates with persons with disabilities, especially for people using screen readers or softwares like the Windows Narrator, for example. And I realized that the major foundational problem to that is how these agents will emit their events to these persons with
Correct.
disabilities. So that's what led me to build, or rather, start the development of an open standard protocol called AEP, which means Agent Accessibility Event Protocol. So basically, it creates a standardization and a specification that allows people building agentic AI for persons with
Mm-hmm.
disability or persons using assistive devices to be able to allow this agent to emit events in forms of streams that these devices can subscribe to actually get this content being consumed. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like if we keep on building like this, the entire AI future would quietly stop leaving people disabled out of their own development. And I also
Yeah.
feel like whether it's someone using a cheap phone or someone who is using a screen reader or wherever it is, there would be a lot of same instincts when
Mm-hmm.
in terms of the products actually being used. So I just feel like everyone should build for people should build for everyone, regardless of their disabilities. And then it's majorly affecting us in Africa because of certain policies, certain natural constraints, certain lack of innovation, funding, and a lot of things just affect us from third world countries because the people in Silicon Valley feel, oh, regardless, I mean, when ChatGPT came out, everyone was
Mm-hmm.
amazed that, oh, AI could do this and do that. And nobody actually found it fit or found it researchable to actually build an AI that will be country based, something that would raise up the name of the continent or the name of a particular country in the continent. So I just feel like, regardless, if we keep on moving in the direction of including everyone, especially people from the
Yes.
third world countries, we'll definitely build beyond what Silicon Valley is offering. Yeah, thanks.
Definitely, and I really liked how beautifully you have explained the everything, the challenges, the lack of opportunities, and also, you know, I think I would say like if we compare it on the basis of talent, there is no gap, right? Because the people who are contributing from South Africa, and the people who are contributing from other part of the world, they all are very talented, right? They have that capability to deliver best products related to AI as well, because they know like how AI is working right now, what kind of thing people are expecting from the AI solution. So yes, there are some challenges on the ground level on regional things, but yes, if we compare it with the talent, there is no gap. They all are contributing best to the AI world, and I think with that hope, we can say that yes, it's the right time to collaborate with each other and provide whatever we can provide to the community. So that's how, like, you really very well explained the actual ground reality of AI on different part and different areas of the countries.
Yeah.
So now, Abdul Rafi will talk bit about the young people, okay? Because we were talking about the talent, so I think we should talk about those kids, like those students who are just 16-year-old student right now in the Nigeria. And we all know that Africa has some of the youngest population on the earth as well. So
Yeah.
what does AI powered future actually look like for them in the upcoming years for a 16-year-old student who are studying in Nigeria currently? So how you are looking at that future?
I think this is a very, very exciting question because I would say I fall a lot into that space. I mean, when I started my tech journey, I
Mm-hmm.
was literally 16-year-old. So I think that's when I entered the university. I mean, many of my friends were out chasing football, playing games, just basically having fun about their life. And I was mostly indoors trying to like explore what it would mean to tackle the lot of problems that a computer could allow us to solve. So then I was in Edo State, I think so, and then I later relocated to the FCT capital of Nigeria, which is Abuja, and then I kept on building, I kept on researching. I made my mind so open to exploring a lot of possibilities
Mm-hmm.
that has actually led me to where I am currently. And I feel what's wild about this right now is that for the first time ever, I can probably say a 16-year-old in Benin City can open the exact same AI models that 16-year-olds in San Francisco, 16-year-olds in California can use the same tools, the same models, no difference at all. So the gatekeeper, which was there, I would say it's probably gone, and stuff that used to need a university lab or some Silicon Valley internship or somebody important just saying yes to you. Now it just needs a phone and a bit of curiosity because I would say information is all over, is everywhere, and it's just left for you having the curious mind to wanting to explore further and just see how you can consume the amount of possibilities and opportunities available out there. But if you look, I'll be straight because I think this shouldn't just be something that will just keep down. There's a fork in the road, yeah. So if the kid only uses AI to finish their homework, for example, faster, they'll just
Mm-hmm.
be a consumer for that set
Correct.
product. That's it. So, but if they use it to build something, probably the leapfrog. I mean, that's the essence of vibe coding. So you are thinking you're thinking wild and just exploring various possibilities. And then
Correct.
before when we think that oh you'd have to go to school, for example, like I said, you have to get an internship, you have to learn a particular skill, you have to learn programming because often now I speak with people that are 15, 14s and
Mm-hmm.
they're often like oh if in fact if someone even gave me an example where I was like oh he probably came for like a career mentorship and he was trying to explore the course he was studying in school and then I was like oh computer science software engineering those are nice courses but then he made an example that oh if products or companies like Lovable exist, I believe you know Lovable, what's the essence of going to school to learn how to program, how to write code
Yeah.
from scratch, where I could just simply go to these products, use it, tell it my ideas and everything, and just get a finished product, either for the clients that is requesting for it, or just to start a startup and start earning money. So that made me to realize that the 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 perspective we had before has
Correct.
greatly changed because you do not necessarily need to do a lot of the hard work again to just get up and start going. Unlike us that actually went to school, did all the courses, just trying to learn DSA. A lot of interviews you do, they're still emphasizing on DSA. And then people are just there vibe coding their way around. I mean, I've met a lot of fantastic founders with no technical experience doing so much well from just the product they vibe coded. So you see
Mm-hmm.
that this is the first generation ever of Nigerian teenagers who can literally sit in a bedroom and build something that the whole world actually wants. So there's no one has to catch up to what Africa is leading onto. No one has to catch on to the policies that the government is trying to propose or whatever. So it's like, oh, there's something I could work with and I could create a proof out of it. So I
Yeah.
feel like every single talent out there, I'll probably tell them straight to the streets that there's no longer, I won't say there's any hurdle or anything holding you again. A lot of tools, a lot of opportunities out there that
Correct.
every talented kid in this country and in fact in Africa as a whole can easily get up to. So for me personally, I started early and I didn't sit around waiting for anyone to tell me to get up and start going. And even then, a lot of these things had to do with me learning from scratch, learning or looking for someone to refer me to whatever opportunities out there. But now the future is available to everyone. So there's no gatekeeping. You can
Correct.
literally wake up one day as a student and just start doing stuff. So, like the vibe coding example I gave, I feel AI has opened more opportunities compared to before. People are still
Correct.
saying AI will take your jobs and everything, but I believe I think everyone should have accepted by now that it's the people using AI to do this work that are in the higher edge compared to people who just sit down, they're lagging behind in the experience of using AI. So I feel with a lot of tools available right now, anyone can actually do a lot of things. So the teenagers, the teens that are absent-minded, people are still thinking about how they'll just live that fantastic life and be very, very relaxed. I feel AI has made that thing easier than ever. So if you're an artist or you
Correct.
have interest in entertainment, there are a lot of tools that can help you produce beats. You no longer need to go to school to learn music or stuff like that. So even the social life you're exploring, AI is enabling that for you. So
Yes.
yeah, I think AI has greatly helped a lot of these teenagers. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And you shared a very important thing that if you are using AI just for doing your homework or just to complete your assignments, that's not the right thing, right? Because you are just making the use just to do some sort of work, right? But if you are actually learning how we can build that kind of tools, then it will really help you. Okay, because otherwise we can spend time in doing some editing for the pictures and for some fun activities, like we can make use of AI, right? But if at the same time, yes, you can use it for that work also if you are interested, but along with that you should start exploring it in detailed, like in a technical way, like how these kind of tools are built, how we can make such kind of demo project where we can take help from the community member if it is needed in order to get some help, but at least start exploring and try to understand more about that tools, not just to make use of it. So that's a great
Yeah.
learning you just shared, Rafiu. And now I just want to know one app from your end, because you are actively working with this AI domain. So if you had to suggest one application that will like mostly transform the education in the emerging market within the next 5 years, so what do you think? Like which application students, professionals should invest on? Maybe if they want to buy it for some work. So what one application you would recommend to everyone?
If I'm to put my money or rather my naira in any application right now, it would be a
Mm-hmm.
personal AI tutor because I genuinely feel people who would really want to learn are very keen to AI that actually understand them and their language, where they are from. So if anyone is to invest or put in a lot of effort in any application that would drastically transform how they learn, I would say it's
Mm-hmm.
an AI personal AI tutor that genuinely speaks that student language and genuinely knows their syllabus. So, um, to get to the specifics of this, in terms of what
Mm-hmm.
I mean by an AI tutor, I do not just mean because definitely if you go out there, you see a lot of AI tutors that does literally almost anything to help the student learn. But by AI tutor, I mean something that is not Khan Academy or Udemy or Coursera or wherever is out there currently,
Mm-hmm.
but something that it's more of understanding you as an individual. So it's able to grab the various constraints you have, the learning gaps. I mean, there was a time where I was building, I started a community called Zero Learn AI, and then I had to build a sort of tool to help people that are preparing for Microsoft certification exams called SAT Prep. And then a major challenge that we still have up to now is trying to personalize it to each user because we've realized that people have various learning patterns, people have various
Correct.
language goals, and just basically what differentiate the DNA, learning DNA of different individuals. And we're trying to make the AI call engine adapt to each individual's perspective. So I feel if we really want to build an AI tutor, it has to be something that is built from inside. So I'm not saying, oh, you're trying to build something for the African market, for example, and then someone in the United States is building that without understanding the context, the environment context of how these users learn. For example, someone in the Caribbean, I mean, here in Nigeria, we write WAEC exam. Someone in Caribbean, I think they write CSEC. So you
Mm-hmm.
could see that there are different learning patterns, and then you cannot just assume from probably researching online or
Yeah.
doing certain online interviews to just know that, oh, this is how this set of users learn. So if you're
Correct.
able to personalize greatly, so for example, there could be a user, a student in SS2 here in Abuja that's trying to prepare for WAEC, and then another user from an island in the Caribbean also trying to prepare for CSEC. So like I said, there will be completely different exams, and then each of these students have various curriculum that they learn from, various language that they speak, and
Mm-hmm.
various hardware devices that they use. So you also put all this into consideration when trying
Correct.
to build this personalized AI system for them. And then a tutor that would not just that whose work is not just, oh, come and then I give you the resources you learn, but is able to adapt to what the market is saying based off learning pattern trends, how this is convenient a lot enough for each student, and how each student can actually consume this on a more deeper level. And I feel like the AI tutor is a big bet. I do not really know what's currently available. I've been very, very away from the education industry, unfortunately. So I feel if we're very hyper local, we're very focused on going to the grassroots level of understanding the in depth of how each students
Correct.
behave and knowing their curriculum, knowing their language, and how everything works for the different kind of learner available to them. It will not just be a genius solution that is on a cloud, but a tutor that actually knows your exam, that actually knows how this particular student learns and how he can easily adapt to these particular students. And there's a thing about predicting from the sidelines where everyone, in fact, YC, part of their playbook is you have to actually do a lot of the work in understanding your user. So it's not just, oh, I feel this is going to work for this particular student. So, and I feel like that's what breaks for a lot of people. Then when I was building notes, you could easily see that a lot of the tutors or a lot of the students who we were building for were students that even was in the past of the content creators team, as students who are able to easily relate with us to what is actually available out there. So I could easily say this is the best bet. I will not really know what other educational applications are available out there, but an AI tutor that is able to understand anyone would
Yeah.
easily make anyone put their money on it or a bet on it that, oh, this is actually going to work in the next centuries to come for African students or students in general or in emerging markets. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, although like we have so many things that we can discuss here technically wise, but we are short on time, so I just want to take a few more questions before we summarize this discussion. And these question is related to your journey itself. So Abdul Rafi, if you look back on your career, your journey, so what do you think? Like who were the key people around you who had a defining impact on your journey so far? To whom you would like to give shout out?
I would say certain majorly a lot of people from the Microsoft MVP community because I feel
Mhm.
nobody really builds anything on their own. You can't just be on your own building a lot of all these things. And I'll be lying if I say because I'm very, very big on community. That's why I had to start the Azure AI community.
Yes.
I would say a lot of people, David Abu is a very fantastic human being. I think he currently works as a senior product marketing manager at Microsoft in the United States. Um, uh, Olobuki is also another amazing person, Leon Gordon. So these are just a few names I can call. I feel there are a lot of names and the list can just keep on going on and on and on. And I feel community is a very big aspect to my journey, to be
Mhm.
specific. And then without specifically the Microsoft MVP community, the Microsoft Student Ambassadorship community, I don't think I'll be where I am today. Plus, how keen I am in just trying to relate with people. I mean, networking is very essential, especially
Very
when
important.
you know that, oh, you're from a third world country that is not really open to the global world opportunities, and you really have to make yourself stand out to actually be seen out there. So the first one I would say is I think I've mentioned some few names. I would also mention my family. My family has really helped me so far. So because
Yes.
when you're buried in a heart problem at 1 a.m. and then you can feel yourself starting to take yourself a bit seriously. Probably, I think then that I was 16 years old. Everyone would see me as a small child who was just snapping at every single problem he sees. So, but then the fact that they are able to back me up and see potential in how I think. In fact, I actually wanted to study medicine, surprisingly enough. Not like I was really in the tech direction. My goal was to become a medical doctor, but then they just kind of let me see how open the world is today and
Yes.
what the next years to come would be as tech keeps on advancing and with the emergence of AI, there's a lot of opportunities out there. So that just changed a lot of perspective I have about how the real world problems are and solutions that you can provide to solve them. So and then I will also say the community I built for because a lot of like for Azure Learner community, I've worked with fantastic people there. Co-founders
Mhm.
I've met alongside applying for the various YC cohorts. People I know who have probably will form small teams together. They've showed up every single day, carried the weight right alongside me. And you can't run a few companies basically yourself because I mean you could probably be a master of all trade and then know a lot of things, but then essentially they're experts at each skill. So you definitely have to work with people, that which is the community mindset. And then I will keep on mentioning the community aspect of this, especially as really like Microsoft Student Ambassadorship Program, Microsoft MVP Program,
Yeah.
um, and then a few individuals, like I earlier mentioned. I do not, I feel to be a very biased opinion from my end when I start mentioning some specific names and leaving others before outside, because definitely I want to remember a lot of these names, and even
Correct.
the
Yeah.
few I'm mentioning is just to kind of like let you know how people giving you the opportunity to try out, because I started my career at a very young age. And then you'll just be wondering for someone for this age. In fact, when I went to the United States, I think last year for the Microsoft MVP Summit, it was
Hmm.
more or less like an open source opportunity, because I mean,
Yes.
to be the youngest Microsoft most valuable professional, then at 18, you could just imagine how that would feel to a lot of people of your age and a lot of people who are already
Yes.
experts or gurus in the program, and then you're wondering what would really set you apart to make sure that these people actually see the potential you have. So
Correct.
I just feel the chances I've been given, the opportunities I've been given has really set me forward in terms of the different aspects of my career. So just to summarize, I feel a lot of people have really helped me so far. I do not really want to give specifics to it, just to limit how other people might have feel
Correct.
you excluded me, or me not wanting to create a limitation to the endless amount of people I've met in my life through networking. And I just feel like people should just keep on building in communities. I don't feel building alone is really worth it.
Right.
Just network with people a lot, keep yourself around people that obviously you've solved or can help you solve amazing problem, people who would align with you. And just be out there, just be very, very curious, try out various things and just figure out life as it flows. Yeah, I think I'll just stop there.
All right. Okay, so let's quickly take one more question because we are very short on time. But yeah, I really
Okay.
liked whatever you have discussed here. And now I just wanted to know one thing that is close to you, like as a proud citizen of Nigeria. If you had to share one thing about your country with the global audience, so what would you share about Nigeria?
I'll say one thing about, I think for Nigeria, I would say is the people,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, there are a lot of, like you said, the talent. It's not like anyone is lacking the talent. I would say the people are a very, very big aspect to Nigeria as a country today, specifically because what we manage, especially what we manage to do a lot of things without almost anything. So a lot of these people, they're easy to improvise on a lot of things. So you
Correct.
just wonder, oh, what kind of mentality? I mean, you could easily see that, oh, a global talent individual should be someone from these Western advanced countries, but then a lot of people in Nigeria are doing fantastically well, and you just be wondering
Yes.
how and what kind of brain or what kind of talent are they do they have to be able to do a lot of these things. So the rest of the world is only now catching onto, oh, Nigeria through Afrobeat. I mean, compared to other African countries, for example, you'd see that Nigeria is probably topping the list in terms of Afrobeat music, or the artistic industry, the music industry in general. And then recently in the World Cup, I was having a conversation with my friend where I was like, oh, about three, I think so, three or two Nigerian artists performed in the World Cup opening
World
ceremony.
Cup.
So it's just a pride to own that, oh, the
Yes.
people here in Nigeria are doing fantastically well. Everyone is doing good at their own skill, whether it's in arts, culture, tech, industry. A lot of, like, the founder of Calendar is in Nigerian. I've looked up to a lot of great individuals who are from
Yes.
Nigeria, and then I even get shocked when I found out that, oh, this person has a Nigerian heritage. So you will see that the grassroots initiative, the fact that they are Nigeria, is probably helping them a lot. I wouldn't say
Correct.
it's anything to for them to be proud of, because I really do not know what these people think about where they're from. But I would greatly say it's Nigeria, because and the one great thing about Nigeria is that the spirit sitting underneath is not just all about the fact that there's a country who has so much resources, and then
Yeah.
the government is probably what is leading a lot of these things to go sideways. But then there's a spirit in how they're able to pick up anything and just start
Correct.
going. So we often have this thing of if wherever we do, there's nothing to look up to. There has to be a way to find out a solution out of it. So a lot of these people, if you look at global figures, it's not like a lot of these people were born with silver spoons. So they grew up, they found their way around life. They often you don't say themselves, oh, there's no way, and just give up. So even when they see that there's no way, if you just look out the next second, you see that, oh, just watch me, I'm going to be the next big star. So if you Nigerian, even if you don't provide Nigerians without resources or limited resources, I feel they could still get up and then build something, and they will just be there watching and be very, very wowed about, oh, how did this thing come about? Because you can easily see that most of us here, our fintechs, they probably get studied globally. Flutterwave is doing fantastically well. Paystack is doing fantastically well. Our music is probably running the charts. I think
Yes.
the music industry is one of the top things you know Nigerians for. And our people are out there running a lot of companies, a lot of labs. I mean, the guy in MIT that recently, I think few weeks back, got a Guinness World Record title for the smallest, I think, GPS tracking device built, and then he's a Nigerian, surprisingly enough. So there's this thing we say in Nigeria that, oh, Nigeria, no, they carry last. So basically, it means we refuse to come last, no matter what the odds look like, whether it's when we go from competitions, where we apply to industries. So the people just have that mindset of wanting to do more, wanting to just explore various industries, various opportunities. So it's not that, oh, I studied medicine, I must become a medical doctor. You can see someone studying medicine doing fantastically well in the tech industry. There's a friend I have that studied medicine in school, and then he's holding a very top AI title in a global company. So you could just see that there is this willingness to wanting to learn more and do more regardless of what is available out there. So and I'm very proud to be part of this small set of individuals because I really don't know how people perceive Nigerians in general, but I'll say the people is a very big part of how
Yes.
proud we are as Nigerians. Yeah. Thanks.
So yeah, thank you so much, Abdul Rafiu, for joining in this episode and for sharing so much insightful information about AI, and also to share the information about the people of Africa. Because I'm sure like those who are watching it from the other part of the world, they can also understand like how you guys are contributing to the world from the forefront. So it was really a pleasure talking to you here, and I really enjoyed the discussion. So good wishes for you, and thank you once again for being a part of the show.
All right. Thanks.